When a company needs to track more about their inventory than the inventory quantity and possibly the location of that inventory, they may be looking at setting up either a serialized or allotted inventory. A serialized inventory is used most when tracking small quantity big ticket items such as automobiles, boats, appliances, bicycles. These are things that are usually serialized, and that information needs to be tracked about each item for recalls and things like that. Lotted inventory is most often used where a government mandates the keeping of records and the lot number. This is particularly common in the areas of food inventory and chemical inventory, where you may be looking at a particular lot number and possibly for an expiration date for each of the items. Some businesses use lot numbers to identify inventory held in stock for specific customers, so that's also a possibility. But either way, to keep more than just the quantity of an inventory and the location of it, we would need to set up either a serialized or allotted inventory definition. To set up those definitions, we're going to go to Setup and Inventory and oops, sorry about that, inventory and lotted and serialized inventory definitions. Okay, so I'm going to set up inventory items in my company for bicycles that we purchase and resell. However, we need to keep track of those bicycles by each individual serial number. So I need to set up a serialized definition for that inventory that tells the system what pieces of information I need to keep track of for those bicycles. So I'm going to click New here, and I'm going to call this my bike serialized definition. And the type is that it's a serialized. Now, the first thing I need to track about that bike, of course, is going to be the serial number, but it does allow me up to 3 other pieces of information that I can keep track of about that bike. Well, one of the things that we need to keep track of is a size for that bike, because we're not going to set up an inventory item for each and every size of a particular bike. So we're going to go ahead and say that we want to keep track of the size in centimeters. Okay, we might also be tracking something like the color of it, and that might be a text item. So I'm going to go ahead and say the color of it. Okay, so you can see down here, each item that we purchase and sell needs to have the serial number, the size, and the color associated with it. Okay, so I'm going to click Save there, and that creates the definition for my serialized inventory. My company also purchases some food products that we resell, and one of those food products is protein bars. And so I'm going to go ahead and set up a lotted inventory for protein bars. So I'm going to call this Pro Bars in the abbreviation, and then I'll spell it out as protein bars. And we're going to keep track of lots of protein bars. They're going to be a lotted inventory. And of course, we need to keep track of the lot number. But one of the other pieces of information I want to keep track of, so I know how to, I know when I need to pull those from the shelf or maybe reduce them in price because they're nearing the expiration date, is the expiration date of them. So I'm going to go ahead and say that another piece of information that we want to track about this is the expiration date. Okay. Now, if there's other pieces of information that I need to track, I could also put those there. Things like it might be something like the flavor of it or something like that. So you might have other pieces of information that you need to track about those items. And you could add up to 2 more fields of information for it. On the right-hand side, you notice there's a checkbox here for putting subsequent purchases into a lot. Normally, once you purchase something, items into a lot, that a lot would be closed and you can't add additional items to it. But sometimes you do need to go ahead and be able to purchase additional items into that same lot. And if that's the case, then you would want to mark this box here. Okay, if you don't mark that box there, then only one purchase of those items can go into that lot. Okay, now of course you could have several sales out of that lot, but only one purchase into it, unless you check this box here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click Save there, and that's the setup of our serialized and lotted inventory definitions. These are then used to set up lotted or serialized inventory items, and there are separate videos for going ahead and going through that setup.